standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everyone and welcome to Safari Live. My name is Byron and on camera with me this morning is Jesse. Now we've got two new presenters for you this morning. We've got Tristan, who did a drive yesterday afternoon. He's going to be on bushwalk a little bit later with Craig. And then we've got Manus on the other vehicle who's with Dave this morning. Louise and Kirsten are in the final control. So be nice to all of them and send them the easy questions this morning. It can be a bit daunting, the first drive on Safari Live, but they'll be fine. They're great guides, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with them this morning or over the next few days. Now, I am sitting listening out for a leopard. We got an update this morning that a leopard was calling. Now, I'm trying to listen out and see if we can't hear it and hopefully find it. Now, don't forget, everybody, we are completely live, and you can send us your questions or your comments at hashtag Safari Live via Twitter. Otherwise, email us questions@WildEarthTV and we'll hopefully get to your questions. Now, it's about 26 degrees Celsius or 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Very warm morning, very, very warm. It feels a bit warmer than that, actually. But I'm hoping that we get some activity from predators around. We'll see what we can find. So follow us. Let's carry on our drive and see what we can find this morning. Caught a glimpse of some scrub hares already wandering around. Probably going to settle down shortly. They are nocturnal. They do move around at night, but during the day they'll go and rest in the thickets and under the trees, and probably sleep there during the course of the day. We caught a glimpse of a scorpion. I don't know if you all saw that. I did catch a glimpse of it hiding in a tree, and as we shone this light on it, got a quick glimpse, and it disappeared back into the tree. I think it was an Epistocanthus scorpion, or tree creeping scorpion. It's always great to see some of them around. Alright, I am going to continue my search for that leopard that was apparently calling. Now, let's head over to Manus, who is very eager to say good morning to you, and let's see how his drive's going to pan out.
Good morning to all our viewers from a very hot and humid Djuma Game Reserve. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Manus, and behind the camera we've got Dave. We are pretty thrilled to be here. I am very thrilled. I'm going for my interview drive, so I hope you guys enjoy it with me. The plan for this morning is I'd like to go and look at Karula again, so I might need your help, the viewers in the back there. I'm not too familiar with the specific leopards and all the animals here, so it'll be great if you guys can get involved, help me. So I think we can get going. I believe Byron has heard some leopard calling, which is pretty cool. I hope he's going to get some luck that side, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Now with Karula, for example, the leopards, she was yesterday and the day before, she was on a Impala kill with her cubs, or young juveniles, that side. I don't know how much is going to be left of this. We want to go and have a look and see, and a lot of things can happen during the evening. Hyenas can come and try and take the kill away. Lions could have pitched up, which would be quite interesting, hopefully not. And yeah, anything can happen. So we're looking forward to go and have a check there and see. And just remember that if you've got any questions for me on my interview drive, and be gentle please, if you do have any questions, please feel free to send some on Twitter, and make sure that you use the hashtag Safari Live. Now, as I've mentioned, interview drives, beginnings, trying out new things can be quite tricky. So it's quite, you can almost say the following: imagine you going for an interview with one boss now, or maybe a board, and this is for me similar, but just with a couple of thousand people looking, so it could be quite intimidating at times, but I'm sure it will go well today. And as we approach or move towards Karula side, Liz, how's it? I am from South Africa. I born and raised in this specific area. I've been guiding in Southern Africa or South Africa for quite a long time. I used to be based in further reserves in the south, and yes, it's been great living in the bush. I do thoroughly enjoy it, except like Byron was mentioning earlier, it does get a little bit hot and humid, and last night was particularly quite humid. And especially you see the clouds coming across all around us. That normally can keep all the heat of the previous day inside and bring out all the nasty insects. Hello Lucy from Indiana. How do I spell my name, if that's correct? My name is spelled M-A-R-N-U-S, Marnus. It's not a very common South African name, to be very honest with you. But my dad's from Holland, and you know the Dutch can sometimes, just put a spin on a few things, I suppose. Also quite interesting to just keep in mind, I don't know the roads that well in this area, or I don't really know them at all. So I'm going to be relying on Dave to give me a shout and help me around, just to see how we get going around here. As you see, also it's going quite thick in the bushes here, and I'm hoping we can get through this little, it seems like drainage line coming in front of us, and then once we get through the drainage line, we're hopefully going to be up in the crest side. Now yesterday was quite interesting, as far as I know. Because I believe Tristan had Karula in a kind of interesting mood, as far as he told us after the evening drive. So when leopards, especially females with two youngsters of that age, they can be quite tricky and moody. So we're gonna hopefully find her. That's the first goal. And once we found her, we want to see first what mood she's in. All right. But yes, I'm not sure if Byron has got something. So I'm hoping he's got a nice leopard for us as well shortly. I just spotted something to the left here. Can you see it, Dave, in the trees there in the dead... Oh, there at the top. Can you see it, eh? Yeah, it looks like vultures from this side. Let's see where you are a bit more. Let's go, let's see. I might be too low for it, huh? Yeah, I think we may be just too low in this little dip. But we've got some vultures, two of them roosting in the top of a dead tree. So they're probably going to wait for the first heat waves, or thermals should I rather say, to come out. And once these thermals are coming out from the extreme heat of this early sun, they'll probably move off to their nests or feeding grounds, or their pub for a couple of beers. Alright, so we're going to head over to Byron, and hopefully he's got some good stuff for you guys. Once again, thank you for following, and see you soon.
Now, I don't unfortunately have an update for you just yet, and Manus, we are looking very hard. I know Manus is heading over to that last position of Karula, and the two little ones. So hopefully he gets some luck around there. Now, no sign of leopard yet. I haven't seen any tracks. I've been checking very carefully. But now I wonder, the other day, and twice actually, myself and Herbert and James and Herbert on another occasion were tracking who I think was possibly Tingana, walking through that drainage line just down from Djuma Dam. Now, I wonder if it wasn't perhaps him wandering through the area and calling, that sawing, that territorial call that the leopards do. And for some of you that haven't heard it yet, it sounds something like this. Let me see if I can do it for you. It's a That's a leopard call. Now, I wonder if it's not him. He likes, he does enjoy, well, again, I actually don't like it when people say this, because you can never be sure what a leopard likes or doesn't like, I think. I think they're wild animals and they'll change daily, but we have, oh, there goes another scrub hare, just disappeared off in front of us. Off into the thicket, but this male leopard we've tracked a few times. He's wandered down the drainage line, and it is a bit thicker, and we know leopards generally enjoy thicker areas and thicker terrain. Now I can hear some guinea fowl alarm calling. Let's have a good look. Now there could possibly be a bird of prey around. It could be anything really. Let's have a look. Just listen to this for a second. You hear that? So that's the guinea fowl alarm call. I don't see anything in the trees. I'm trying to look if it's perhaps a bird of prey. Is it a snake? I don't know. Let's have a careful look here. Now it is very, very thick at the moment. I don't think I'd even be able to get a vehicle in there. Jesse, let me know if you see anything. We're scanning very carefully. Can you hear that? Something's definitely upset that guinea fowl. But like I say, they could possibly have seen a bird of prey, possibly sitting in the tree at the back that we can't see yet. I'm not sure. Unless it's just a very nervous guinea fowl. You never know. I'm going to have a look around here. Again, I don't see any tracks. Nothing yet. But these are all good signs. These are all good signs. Chris, with it being dark, no, I don't think necessarily a lion or leopard would attack you. However, if you were walking in the bush, you do need to be far more vigilant in the evenings. Now, the reason for that is not necessarily because of lion or leopard. It could be elephant or buffalo, animals that you can't see very well at night. That I mean, they blend into the darkness very, very well. So you've got to be careful of that. But in terms of lion or leopard attacking you, no, Chris, I don't think so. I mean, the whole time you do have to be very careful, and when you are walking around at night, you can seem a little bit more, what's the word, vulnerable. You are more vulnerable because our eyesight and our hearing is not nearly as good as the predators around here, so we do have to be very careful. But I mean, the chances of them attacking you necessarily, I think, are very, very slim, unless they're injured, unless they're used to seeing people. Then sorry, I've got some spider webs all over me now. But no, Chris, I wouldn't say that there's a chance of them attacking you. But the whole time, doesn't matter day or night, you've got to be careful. You've got to be vigilant in the bush. So always keep that in mind. Miss Cruz, good morning to you, or good evening wherever you are from, and you wondered what is my tip of the day for today. I'm still giving it some thought, to be honest. I think it's a little too early for tip of the day just yet. Well, I'll give it a little bit later. I'm just going to give it some thought first. And Manus, as we said earlier, and Manus is on his first drive with us this morning, so I know the nerves are going a little bit. I have been there before, but he seems to be finding some stuff. He's got a vulture he'd like to show you.
Thank you, Byron. Yes, got quite a nice sighting here of a white-backed vulture. Not the same ones as earlier that I was trying to get to you guys, or try and show you, but nonetheless it's quite a nice silhouette image of this remarkable bird, relaxing in the tree. Probably having a cup of coffee and reading the newspaper, I presume. So yes, we've had, in the last few days, we've had quite a few, that was just obviously from predators. And specifically in this area, or close to this area, we've had a buffalo. And the vultures yesterday on the walk were quite intense all around this buffalo, which is quite great. And I wouldn't be surprised if these guys or this one in particular came from that specific buffalo. And now he's trying to lose some weight, or he's probably too heavy to be flying away, and now therefore just relaxing. Now, quite an interesting thing about vultures is a majority of the vulture species, there's several of them in southern Africa. Like I said earlier, this is the white-backed vulture. These guys, they're built, designed for soaring. Okay, now soaring is basically when a specific bird just keeps its wings open for quite a long time and just uses the thermals, as I mentioned earlier, created by the sun's rays, and then the thermals basically go up, and then the vultures try and fly from tree spots to the thermals, and then just take the thermals up, and then that's how they travel. And they travel from one thermal to the other one, slowly soaring downwards, and eventually get it. So what the amazing thing is but with this specific, what I'm trying to get to is that you get two kinds of different muscles. The one is white muscles, and the other one is red muscles. Alright, now your birds is normally on the ground. They could possess like red muscles, and these muscles is basically when they're moving around in thickets, and all of a sudden there's a leopard or a snake or something trying to get to them, they can quickly get away. So their muscles is designed for quick flaps. Whereas the birds that soar, like I mentioned with the vultures, their white muscles is designed to keep their wingspan open for a longer time. Alright, so that they don't need the wherever the other red muscle might be, that specific one as much to flap, because they don't rely on flapping that much. Okay, so yes, the vultures. I read something interesting the other day, and it was saying that a plane was struck a few years ago by a vulture in West Africa, and the estimated height of that was over 11,000 meters. Alright, 11,000 meters. That's 11 kilometers. What would that be in miles? Probably about 5.5 to 6 miles, I reckon. So yeah, that was amazing to read, because vultures can travel very high up, and they have to, because in specific areas where you do find vultures and there is a limit of food availability, then these guys need to be able to see very, 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 very far. And I also read, I don't know how true this is though, maybe some of our viewers with better bird knowledge could tell me. They were saying that vultures could zoom in at 70 kilometers, which is 35 miles. I don't know how true that is. It'll make sense, because as I mentioned, they have to be able to see far to see whether there is potentially a kill or so on. And how would they know that there's a kill? There's quite an interesting story of this. There's a small local bird in this area, it's actually a raptor, and it's called the bateleur, also known as a short-tailed eagle. Now this bird is highly territorial. It wakes up every morning, stretches the legs, gets ready, has a cup of coffee, and then this bird will fly around in his territory. Okay, and once he finds something within his territory, he would circle and basically calling the vultures. So, sorry, I just heard something here. It sounds like hippo. Hey, what do you reckon, Dave? Yeah. Hippo, huh?
Maybe baboon.
Or baboon. Oh, that very deep. Yeah, it's baboon, hey? Yeah. We'll go check it out now. Anyways, with my story, so long and short, when the bateleur is flying, it calls the vulture. And the reason why it needs to call the vulture when there's a dead animal is because the bateleur's beak is designed not to be able to open the thick or the carcass of this animal. So therefore it needs the strong mouth, jaw structure of the vulture. So the vultures would then come and open up the kill, and the bateleur or the short-tailed eagle would come in, swoop down, try and get some scraps and fly off. Alright, cool. I think we're gonna head to what this noise potentially was. It sounded like a hippo, it could have been a baboon. Yeah. Sure, Holly, asking the wingspan of a white-backed vulture. That's a good question, eh? My birding is, I'm not too expert, I'm not too much of an expert on birds, but I do reckon a white back vulture could be about in the vicinity of about 2 meters if it's doing this. If not, maybe 1.8 to 2 meters. I hope that answers your question. I presume so. Maybe one of our viewers could maybe get involved and help us, or help me, I suppose. Cool. So let's get going. It seems like Byron's got something interesting as well. So we're going to be heading over to him very soon. And till next time. Thank you.
Now, I think I've found the culprit of the guinea fowl alarm calls. It looks like a brown snake eagle up high up in the tree. And I could hear the guinea fowl alarm calling, and this snake eagle actually flew up and landed in the top of the tree from that area. So I think that's exactly what those guinea fowl were alarm calling at. They've stopped now that that bird is high up in the tree. Now, the brown snake eagle don't really hunt guinea fowl. I mean, they generally prefer reptiles, hence snake eagle. But you never know. Some of these birds of prey can be opportunistic, and if there is something like a guinea fowl or francolin, they may try their luck and try and hunt them, but generally the snake eagles don't. But I think, again, because it's a predator or bird of prey, that's why those guinea fowl did alarm call. So that is what those guinea fowl were alarm calling at. And remember, I said I think it might be a bird of prey. The guinea fowl don't like eagles around and that, because they do hunt the guinea fowl. Now, still no sign of a leopard anywhere, but it's still early. It's too soon to panic, as I always say. Let's see. We'll carry on, see what else we can find. But at least I always find it's wonderful just to put your mind at ease if you hear alarm calls and then you find what the animals are alarm calling at, whether it's a snake or whether it's a bird of prey. But then at least we know, okay, well, it's not a leopard. I don't think it was a leopard. I do think it was that bird that they were alarm calling at. So we can move on from here and see what else we can find. I still haven't seen any sign, any tracks or anything of a leopard. But I'm going to check very, very carefully. Now, with Marnus being out and drive, it reminds me a little bit of my first drive, my interview drive. I'll never forget, I was, as I said, also very, very nervous, and went out, and there used to be an old hyena den just off Rebecca's Road, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So kind of the southeast, the southwestern part of Vuyatela. I'm not sure, some of you might remember that old den site. And so I thought, well, first thing is let's head to the den site. Maybe I get some hyena, something to have a look at. So I headed out there, and luckily there was a hyena lying outside of the den, and we sat for a while. And as I went live, and I think it was Dave that was with me on camera, I can't remember, I think it was Dave, and I was speaking about the hyena, and he said, a leopard, and in the background, in the frame of the camera, I think it was Mvula, and this male leopard came wandering through behind the hyena, and basically the hyena got a fright, turned, looked at him, and chased him a little bit, and Mvula ran off. But it was so exciting, and I was struggling to get the car started, and I tried to race over to see him, then he disappeared, and we searched for ages. But it was quite a welcome to Safari Live, I think. And so I keep getting quite a few spider webs across my face this morning. It's that time of the year we're going to start getting a lot of spiders. A little francolin in the road. Now, JC, you wondered if any of the presenters are leaving Safari Live. And is that why we're having some new interviews and that, the new presenters coming through? So JC, James has been fired. That is why we need new presenters. James is just not pulling his weight, and we felt we needed to let him go. No, I'm joking, JC. Don't worry, I'm joking, everyone. James is not fired. No, so you know what? Safari Live is growing, which is very exciting. Safari Live is growing. There's some very exciting times ahead for us going into the future. And with us growing, we obviously need some more staff members. We need to get some new presenters because there may be some exciting times ahead up in East Africa and maybe even with the gorillas. You know, we've been experimenting with that. So perhaps in the future, and I don't want to say too much just yet, but just know there's very exciting times in the pipeline for Safari Live, and we do need a few extra hands on deck. I'm just going to have a look here. Ah, well spotted, Jesse. There we go. I'm looking for tracks, but there's an elephant right ahead of us. Oh, great. There we go. My favorite. You know, everybody knows how much I enjoy the elephant. I hear guinea fowl again, alarm calling to my left. Let's view this elephant for a while, and then I'm going to have a look around here and just see what's going on. Now I think this elephant is enjoying some marula fruit. Wonderful, look, a beautiful bull. I wonder if this wasn't the male that was on quarantine the other day. Oh, magnificent. Now Justin, speaking of all these spider webs and that are across the roads, and while we're driving, often a lot of bugs. You asked how many bugs or species have I swallowed since I've started guiding. Well, Justin, I'd like to know because I have swallowed a fair amount of bugs while being on safari, and there was not too long ago, a moth flew into my mouth while I was doing the closing of the show. I don't know if any of you saw that, but I coughed and spluttered and couldn't say goodbye in the end. This elephant is exactly feeding on the marula fruit over here. I really enjoy sitting with the elephant, I think. And yesterday, what an amazing experience. We got to view a number of elephant on foot, and we got very close to a herd. That female with the youngsters walked almost right up to us. I think Batman, or Craig, as some people may call him, he was a little nervous. I think at one stage he was thinking about giving me the camera and looking for safety. But we weren't in any danger there. And this elephant too, absolutely no sign of aggression, very comfortable, very happy with us being here, and just feeding on the marulas. A lot of flies around again this morning. Isn't that a wonderful scene? It's a large bull elephant under the marula tree. Now it looks like he might be in a little bit of must. You see that if you look on the side of his head, on his forehead, you can see he seems to be sweating a little bit from those temporal glands just on the side. Or he's facing us now, and you'll see it shortly. There you can see a little bit of that that liquid oozing out of the temporal glands, and that is usually a sign that they are in must. Now, Brian, you wanted to know, would an elephant charge a human under any circumstances? Yes, Brian, definitely. If an elephant felt, and again, it depends. If an elephant feels threatened in any way, if they feel like they're being cornered, then they will get aggressive, like any animal. Any animal will get aggressive, and especially elephant. They'll probably flap their ears. They'll give you a lot of warning, though, Brian. That's the thing, and that's the beauty of an elephant. They'll flap their ears. They'll lift their heads, and that's why I think you occasionally see these YouTube video clips of elephant charging vehicles, tipping vehicles, but leading up to that, you don't often see what happened leading up to that incident, and almost 99% of the time, it's people that are getting too close. They're not watching, not understanding the warning signs of the elephant, and when they come, it's too late. So the thing is, elephants give you a lot of warning, but they will definitely charge if they don't feel comfortable. So you do have to be careful, but the other thing is just be respectful of the animals. If you see an elephant isn't happy, rather don't stick around, move on, move off. And I mean, like this male now, he's feeding, and we'll see if he turns and he ends up moving this way. I'll probably move out of his way just because I'd like to give him right of way. But he seems very comfortable feeding and not fazed by us at all at the moment. But we do constantly watch. And also, if you are on foot, Brian, generally a breeding herd of elephant, a herd with females and youngsters, you do have to be careful of them. They can sometimes be a little bit more aggressive purely because they have the young and they are protective of them. This is a magnificent bull. Beautiful tusks. And Jack, if you have a look at this male elephant, you want to know how do we tell the difference. Now, if we just go up to his forehead, you'll see now the male elephant has actually got quite a round forehead, and you can see it clearly there. Much rounder forehead, whereas the females actually have more of an angular shaped forehead. Sounds like the elephant has a bit of gas. Oh dear. So a nice round forehead. That is usually, if you just see the head of an elephant, that is a good sign that it's a male. That rounded forehead, and now also you can see the male genitalia, or the flap actually where the male genitalia hangs out. So you would be able to see that. And with the females, you can also see the mammary glands under the front of the legs. And that is also a very easy way of spotting a female compared to a male. And generally the tusks of a male tend to become a bit thicker, thicker set. And you can see this male got beautiful thick tusks. Oh, this is really, really great. We're not far from him. We must be about 10 meters. You might actually be able to see the front of the vehicle. There we go. See the front of the vehicle there? We're not far at all. But he's chosen to actually walk a bit closer to us. And again, he seems very relaxed. He's feeding on the marula fruit. I don't feel threatened in any way, but as I said, I'll keep an eye on him. It's just a magnificent sighting. Look, he's scratching. Look, he's scratching. Look, when you've got a scratch, you've got to scratch it. Or if you've got an itch. Ian, age 10, all the way from Canada. Hello, Ian. Lovely of you to join us. You asked, how long can an elephant's tusks get? Now, Ian, I have seen in museums of elephant, a very old elephant that over 2 meters, over 2 meter tusks. Now, that is incredibly large. So they can, and you do get some big tuskers still around, that have got very, very large, long tusks. So over 2 meters. I'm trying to think what the record is. I'm actually not sure. Yeah, maybe one of our viewers can help me. If you have a record of elephant tusks, what is the largest elephant tusk? But I know well over 2 meters. I might have to find some ivy grape again this morning. I think it did help yesterday with the flies. Maybe it helps again this morning. Those very pungent smelling leaves, but I don't know if it... I mean, yeah, like I say, it seemed to have helped yesterday. Who knows? We'll try again this morning. The ivy grape, or the bushman's grape, it's also referred to as the bushman's grape. Mary, I'm not sure. It's always difficult to age elephant, I think, but this male, this big male, I would say is probably, judging by the thickness of his tusks and his size, I think he's probably close to maybe 30 years old, somewhere around there. And was that a blow out of disbelief that I think he's that old, or was I paying him a compliment? I'm not sure. Maybe he's a bit older than that. No, but I think possibly around 30 years old, maybe 35. Nice big male. Mary, and I'm not sure if I've seen him before, and I'll tell you why. It's difficult at times when you do see these elephants. I think this is possibly the male that was on quarantine a day or two ago. I think James viewed him on foot, but it's, you know, unless you really have a good look at them, and maybe find a notch in the ear, or a prominent marking on the tusks, or you know, you have to look very carefully. So I'm actually not sure if I've seen this elephant before, because I haven't had a good look at him, so I'm not sure, Mary. But it is a possibility. I do think maybe he is the male that was around quarantine the other day. Oh, have a look. This is interesting behavior. He's... Oh, I've got a little whiff from him again. He actually is leaning back. Now it looks like he's almost scratching or resting his head against the marula tree. This is such a special sighting, to be this close to a magnificent elephant bull, and with him being so relaxed. I love it. I really do love it. Doesn't get better than this for me. Maybe a honey badger would be great if a honey badger arrived. Kerry, good question. I don't know exactly why the male and female forehead is different. I would hazard a guess at saying, I wonder if it's got something to do with the males fighting, with them clashing heads, clashing tusks. Occasionally they'll push one another, or they'll lift their heads and push their tusks against one another when they are fighting. But I'm not sure exactly. I don't know. It's a good question. I've never read anything that gives evidence as to why the female forehead is slightly different as opposed to the male. Now, David, all the way from Napa. Good wine country, David, am I right? I'd love to visit Napa one day. Now, you said that female elephants do not go into must, and that is correct, David. They don't. The must is the term given to males, and it's spelled M-U-S-T-H. Now, that is the period where the males are looking to mate. A lot of testosterone going through their body, a lot of hormones. The females do go into estrus, obviously, and they do have times where their hormones change. They will also sweat from their temporal glands, so you will see that on females, but it's not must. It's something completely different as to the change in female hormones and that go through their body, but only the males go into must. He's biting flies. And you'll notice I'm just still keeping an eye on the elephant, but I think also speaking in a soothing voice, a soft tone, I think that does help. He becomes somewhat used to us. And we're not moving around too much, we're sitting peacefully, and I think that's why he's so relaxed. David, you say you are from wine country. Wonderful. Now, David, if you really want to treat yourself, if you enjoy wine, you need to come out to South Africa and go visit Cape Town. That's where all our wonderful wines come from. The Cape, Stellenbosch and Franschhoek. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful areas and fantastic wines. Beautiful wine estates. John, I'm going to have a look. You asked, can I see if he's got a small hole in the bottom of his right ear? John, he does indeed. He does. He's got a tiny piercing through his ear. And I'm just going to change my position a little bit. There, you can just see it. So, John, have you seen this elephant before? Was this the elephant on quarantine? But he has got that tiny hole. Now, you see, and John, that's exactly what we were speaking about, so thank you. In terms of trying to identify an elephant like this, a little feature like that, a little mark, a little hole in the ear will make it easier to identify. So I'll remember that, and I'll keep a lookout in future. I'll be able to know if I have seen this male again or not. We're just going to sit very still. Don't worry, sit still. He sprayed a bit of sand on us. That was wonderful. So close, he threw some sand on his back and it actually sprayed on us a bit. That was fantastic. Oh, I love elephants so much. That was really, really great. I mean, he's probably 2 meters from us when he walked past. You could see, I'm sure, Jesse had to move and lean back almost to get him in frame. Very, very close. Wonderful. Now, Jess, you wanted to know if elephants are preyed upon by any other animals. Let me just reposition quickly and just see where he's going. He's moving down the road. I'm not going to follow him. We've had such a wonderful view of him and spent so much time. We'll leave him and let him carry on. But Jess, yes, animals do prey on elephant. The only animal would be lions. Now, that generally happens in Botswana. There are prides of lions there that have learned to hunt elephant, purely because I think there's so many elephant in Botswana, but it does not happen often. Obviously, a big bull like this would be completely safe. No animal, no lion pride would be able to, this is always it's always tricky. You never guarantee anything in the bush, but I highly doubt any lion pride would be able to take this big male elephant down. The elephant that they do hunt are usually the younger elephant, or the females, the cows, the smaller cows. Those would be the elephant that they go for. Not a big bull like this. He's far too powerful, and he'd just literally throw the lions off. But what a great sighting, and look at that. There he goes off down the road. He's walking off into the sunrise, not the sunset. So we won't call him John Wayne, because he's riding off or walking into the sunrise and not the sunset. Now, we're going to carry on. Let's see if I can find any sign of that leopard that was calling this morning. Marnus is still out. I wonder if he's had any luck finding Karula and the cubs.
Sounds like you're having an amazing sighting there, Byron. Nice elephant interaction. We're currently at one of the pans close to where Karula had her kill with two youngsters, her two cubs. And well, it seems we are not in too much luck. So my first interview drive, she's gone. She's been here the whole time, so it's typical my luck. Like the one down she's supposed to be at. So she's left. We're thinking she might have gone towards Chitwa Dam, which is not that far away. Then we actually came to the water to have a look and see if she's been drinking around here. Possibly we've got some tracks of her. But there has been a lot of spotted hyena tracks seen so far up and down. I wouldn't be surprised if the kill was taken by them and she's just given up. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, Tristan had some interesting behavior with her. She showed signs of irritation perhaps, or just, a bit moody. So therefore I wouldn't, it's not surprising, to be honest, that she is gone. She was probably just had enough of it now. And also the kill that she was on, really, it wasn't really been eating that much on it. A lot of flies getting affected and so on like that. So what we've also seen is leopards will eat meat, but not like lions and hyenas will really eat rotten meats completely, depending on how hungry they are. But if they have the choice, they probably won't do it. Right. So we've got this waterhole over here, as I've mentioned, and we wanted to have a quick look and see what is exactly going on. If she has been here, how many other different kinds of species has been here. Now, this waterhole, for example, a lot of these small little ponds you would see, they actually started, or they got developed by warthogs, believe it or not. Warthogs, and for those of you who don't know what warthogs are, they are pigs, bush pigs almost. Not bush pigs, but pigs that live in the bush. And so when it rains, an encatchment like what we have here is going slightly downwards. There is water that stays on the soil, and then you'll have warthogs coming and they'll start rolling inside and doing a nice little mud bath, in the summer and the hot days. And then eventually what happens is that soil that was flat becomes a little bit indented, and it becomes bigger and bigger over a couple of months or years even. Eventually it becomes so big, then when you have animals like buffalo coming, they will come further through, and then they will make it even bigger. So every time it rains, the water just carries on flowing in. And then eventually it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and where you eventually have the largest of all the elephants coming. And then they enjoy a nice little mud bath. Okay. The reason why these guys enjoy the mud baths, we do very similar things, I suppose, as humans. We do maybe one of the viewers can help me. What do you do it when you do the mud bath thing? But they do it to cool down and to get rid of parasites. There's ticks that sits on their bodies, and when they throw the mud on, it cools their whole body down, but also it dries out on the skin. And once it dries out, the ticks can't breathe anymore, and eventually they try and let go, and then they get stuck in that mud. And then you'll see a few hours or even a day later, that specific animal, whether it's been a buffalo or whether it's been a warthog, they will scratch and get all that off, and then eventually the ticks will come off. Great. I think our plan is we're going to be heading towards Chitwa Dam to have a look and see what's going on. Kyle, good question. My favorite animal, I am a big fan of cats. I love lions. It's very, very, very amazing species, that one. Apex predator. Probably a lot of people might think it's a cliche that guides like, or a lot of rangers would like lions or the cats. It's just I've always felt like I had a little bit of a connection with these guys. It is an extremely magnificent animal. To see, even when they're sleeping, I can spend time with them when they're lying down during the day. Alright, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but lions can rest for 20 hours a day out of 24. I know, right? Lazy. So yes, lions, one of my favorites. Love them to bits. Great. Good morning from our morning, Ellie. My most ideal sighting. You definitely giving me a rough one there, eh? It's interesting. Okay, yeah, I think I might have my top favorite ones. Yeah, a few years ago when I was doing some work in the Masai Mara, I had a very special sighting. It was very early in the morning. It was drizzling slightly with some soft rain, and we eventually came across a nice pride of lions. I think it was about 21, 22 lions. And it's quite amazing to see these strong, dependent adult female lioness. Normally they have this little, we are so, what's the word, strong? I would say again that word. But then at that time when it was raining, they were playing with their juveniles, with their cubs, and these cubs were juveniles. And they were running around the vehicle and just chasing each other the whole time, and sort of also practicing for the future, teaching them as well how to hunt, where to go. And I probably stayed there for about 2.5 hours in this, and it was just phenomenal. Now during the 2.5 hours, they weren't chasing each other around the whole time, but it was still fantastic to see the interaction. Then what's also very nice sometimes can be what we have when the male lions interact with the young cubs. Obviously, we all know it's all a fake. But we have seen sometimes some quite nice things. So yes, I hope that answers your question. We're going to be heading towards Byron, and we'll keep you updated for Karula and which is gone.
So that's quite interesting. We were wondering when hyena were going to pop up around Karula and that kill that she had, because she didn't hoist it. It was in the ground, and the smell was starting to get a lot worse. So it makes sense that they possibly lost the kill and moved off, but those leopards had a good feed on that large Impala ram. So I don't think they're too worried about losing the remains to hyena. I'm sure Karula will possibly hunt again very, very soon. We know she's such a successful leopard. Now, I still haven't seen any sign, any tracks of the leopard that some of our viewers heard this morning from the dam cam. So I wonder if it didn't wander through the drainage line. I mean, it is a lot thicker there, and we wouldn't be able to see the tracks. There were a lot of Impala, and some of you might still be watching. There's lots of Impala, those baboons around the dam at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's tricky. I never really know which direction these animals go in. I was hoping the Nkuhuma Pride would be around, but apparently they've made a kill just north of us on Buffelshoek. Mandy, you've only recently started watching Safari Live, and you wanted to know if there are any giraffe. Mandy, there are plenty giraffe around. We do see them. I think, you know what happens, man, is at the moment there's a lot of food, there's a lot of vegetation for the giraffe, and a lot of water everywhere. All that happens is the animals tend to disperse quite a bit. The bush is also quite thick at the moment, so it's sometimes difficult to see them. But they are around. I'll tell you what, Mandy, we'll see if we can find some giraffe this morning for you. How's that? And hopefully we'll be able to show you one or two. I'm going to be checking. As I was saying, it sounds like the Nkuhuma Pride made a kill on Buffelshoek. yesterday, I think, was it yesterday or the day before? Perhaps yesterday morning or yesterday, not last night, but the day before, that evening. I think they made a kill, and that's not far from Thicknees Dam, so northwest of where we are at the moment. I wanted to know how often I get hit in the face with spider webs. Fairly often. I get a lot of spider webs across the face, and at certain times of the year it's even worse with the golden orb web spiders. They get these beautiful big spiders, but spider webs rather, large spiders, and I've had a number of them actually fly over and land on me while driving too. It's funny because, I mean, you don't want to see your guide jump out of the vehicle because of a spider, so you've got to try and keep your cool and just flick the spider off, you know, try to be as manly as possible, but sometimes not that easy. I've seen guides jump out of a vehicle because of a golden orb web spider. These large, they're quite scary looking, but they are harmless. They're harmless to us. But you get this large spider being flung across the vehicle and land on your shoulder, and you get this little shriek coming out of your manly guide. It's very, very humbling, I think. You know, it kind of brings you down to earth quite a bit. I've got some funny stories. I mean, and I've told this one before, but it's one of my favorites. I was driving guests and a honeymoon couple. Now, occasionally in some of the vehicles you might have seen the antenna for the radio sits in the front of the vehicle. And while we're driving along, and when we get those golden orb web spider webs, when they are stretched across the road and you drive into them, occasionally they get caught on the antenna, and what happens is the spider web will get caught, and the antenna flings the spider or the spider off the web back occasionally onto the vehicle. So I was driving this honeymoon couple. They were sitting behind me, and this didn't see the spider. Sometimes you don't see them, and this aerial caught the web, and the spider got flung back and came past me and landed on the seat in between the honeymoon couple. And before I could turn around to get the spider off, the husband had jumped over into the middle seat and left his new wife next to the spider. Needless to say, it was a very quiet drive after that. She was not impressed that her new husband, the man who's meant to look after her and keep her safe, ran from a spider and left her. So I quickly scooped it up and threw it off the vehicle, but it was quite funny, as I'm sure you can imagine. I'm just going to be going through a dip here. We might just temporarily lose signal, but don't worry, as soon as we come out the other side, it'll come back. Sorry, Lou, I seem to have lost communication with you there for a second. There we go, Lou, you're back. I think just because I went through that little dip I lost you, but our signal should be fine now. Now, hang on, there's a beautiful bird of prey I just want to show you quickly. Just off to the left, right up in the top of the tree. Is that another? Oh, there it goes. It looked like another brown snake eagle. Let's see if it lands, but it did. I'm almost certain it was a brown snake eagle that flew off there again. And there it goes. I love seeing these birds of prey, or birds anywhere are great to see. Now, speaking of birds, Marnus is at Chitwa Dam, and he's probably got plenty of birds to show you.
Yes, indeed, Byron. We have a lot of birds at the moment at Hippo Dam, and or Chitwa Dam, sorry. And before we get going on that, we first look at this beautiful sighting of Impala. Now this is probably one of the largest herds of Impala I've seen in a very long time. As you can see far in the background there, even there, it's just all over us. I don't know if you could hear that. There was a hippo announcing his presence to us as well at the same time. We've also got very far in the distance, we've got a couple of, it sounds like baboons alarm calling, and the further south from here. So we'll, after spending some time here, we might go and have a look and investigate and see what he is upset about. But what a view, hey? It's not a bad way to wake up in the morning. Do you see that hippo behind that big bush there? Hey?
It's in the back.
Andy and Julia from Los Angeles, welcome and thank you. My most exciting sighting, was it, in the bush? Yep. Sure. Okay, I've got it, hands down. Hands on, actually, on a few. So where do we start? I think South Africa's had some phenomenal sightings for me, and especially in these private game reserves. Once you start following leopards, anything can happen. I once stayed with a young female leopard, and she was on a kill. It was I think it was a duiker, a small antelope, which you find here. And yeah, she was eating and just relaxing on it, on the ground though. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a ground-moving bird called a red-crested corehorn flew straight over her head, and she jumped up and leaped up and grabbed it and brought it down. Everybody was shocked, surprised, naturally. We didn't know what was going on. I first thought it was one of my guests throwing something out of the car, and I was like about to say, hey, what are you doing? So yeah, that was pretty amazing sighting. If I have to think about leopards, then quite a good story. I can tell you this one, it will stay with me forever. I was working at a reserve years ago where obviously there's no fencing around, so just like here. And we struggled to find lions. The lions were not coming to our area for some reason. They were staying in different areas, probably because of mating and such. So very long story short, it's been, I think it was about 2 months, or just a very long time without seeing any lions. And I mean, if you have guests coming through the whole time, every 2-3 days, new guests arriving, and it's quite difficult to say, we're not going to see lions, but you can't really say that to them. So nonetheless, after about 2 months, it was in the early winter as well, so very chilly. And we came around checking all the boundaries, the cut lines, to see if the lions have moved in. And true as Bob, come around, and eventually this nice pride of about 9 lions coming straight through towards me. And then right behind me, there's a buffalo being chased by another lioness that came on the back. So again, long story short there, we had a very amazing sighting. The buffalo escaped, and the lions stayed hungry, it seems like. Hello James, and thank you for that question about have I spent a lot of time with specific lion prides. Very good question, and yes, I have. I used to be involved, still am, in lion conservation. I think it's a very important the responsibility guides we all have, whether it is doing research or whether it is educating people about it on safari, schools and so on. So I've been quite fond of a few prides of lions, especially the one pride in Botswana, and the Moremi, which is just southeast of the Okavango Delta, and there was a nice pride there. Spent probably about 3 to 4 weeks with them. And then we also had a nice beautiful pride, the one I was talking about earlier, the Ololo pride. I believe they were from the Masai Mara. Also about 2 weeks with them. Beautiful, it's amazing just to watch them. Similar to what we're doing right now with this hippo. so many bird species. It is, I'm not sure how much you will be picking up on the camera. You can hear quite a lot, eh? It's amazing. It's just everywhere. It sounds like an orchestra from animals, just all around us. Now we've got Thicknees, which is the one that's on camera at the moment, and then at the back there we've got call it Pratincoles. Yeah, Pratincoles, which is a species I've actually not seen until now. So I was actually very grateful when Byron was pointing them out to me yesterday while he was doing his drive. Pratincoles, I dare you to say that, Pratincole. It's not the easiest bird to actually pronounce, if you would say. But this is amazing, this beautiful dam. It's come to life. There's so many different animals around here. Hi Chai Connie, do I keep a bird list and what are my favorite birds? Unfortunately I don't keep a bird list. You do have many other guides that are experts in birds, and they enjoy the chase of going to different specific areas and looking for them. One of my closest mates, Brett Hawley, he loves going out after birds. He would even drive like thousands of kilometers most likely to go look for a specific bird. So he has his checklist and then marks down. But unfortunately I don't. It's not that I don't enjoy them. It's just as I mentioned, you know, I've never really actually had that in my mind of making a list. So my favorite birds, it's difficult. I do enjoy the bee eaters. You know, we've got so many different ones coming through. Some are common, some come from you know, migration, where they are coming from intra-Africa or from Europe. And then the reason why I like them is because obviously of the coloration of the feathers, and it's a beautiful bird, to be honest with you. A lot of people do like their raptors, and for some reason I think I do enjoy watching vultures. For some reason I think it's that interaction that vultures have around a kill, when you have different species of vultures trying to get to them food. It's just amazing, eh? So thanks for that question. Yeah, have you seen the crocodiles, Dave?
Oh no,
I'll try and show you guys the crocodiles. Now we've had with Byron, we had the one yesterday, and he was a similar one just lying over there. And basically, sorry, the point of the story was before we went live, where this guy's lying just to the left of him, there's another small little pond, like an inflow almost section. You can see that there, and it's obviously with the algae floating on the top, it seems. And there was another one lying in there. It actually made a fantastic photo. As it put his head through, he had all the green stuff on his face. Yes, James, welcome. And have we seen a crocodile? As a matter of fact, yes, we are actually looking at one at the moment, or we were just a few seconds ago. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, there we go. There we go. The crocodile. It was a similar one, as I mentioned earlier, that Byron found yesterday morning. And he's almost the same spot. You would almost think he's fake. Now, with crocodiles, for example, they can be quite intimidating species. For those of you who don't know them, you obviously get crocodiles in South Africa or in Africa, and then you get alligators in other areas, and you get the caimans in South America and so forth like this. Give me 1 second quickly. How are you there? Lekker man, enjoy your drive. So yes, you get these specific kinds of reptiles. Crocodiles, you know, part of the dinosaur age almost. I mean, they've been going for years and years and years, and they are just a remarkable species because they can adapt so quickly. When it's dry seasons, when the water dries up, for example, and very little rain comes through for the next few months, then you'll see crocodiles going into burrows, into holes, and they just keep themselves in there, and they just hibernate, relax there, and they wait, and so the body can stay cool. So they're not reliant as such so much yet Sorry, and look at that one to the left. You see that one to the left, Dave? There we go. Look at that one. There we go. That's a nice shot, eh? That's a beautiful image. Hi John, do the crocodiles bother the hippos? Not really. You will see the only time, or one of the only times I've observed crocodiles bothering hippo, or actually the other way around to be honest, hippos bothering crocodiles, is when the water in a specific pond is drying up and it becomes desperation time. When the hippo females, when they have youngsters, small babies, then they can be very protective, and then they would actually go for crocodiles. But crocodile, I think crocodile knows most of the time it's outweighed by hippo, so it's not taking that risk. Now if you can just zoom to the left here, you'll see that beautiful waterbuck that's not too far away from the crocodile. You see him there, eh? You see, you can just sit here the whole day just about, and there's so many different species of animals that will be coming through here, specific hours, times. I mean, I reckon the elephants as well would be quite remarkable if there's a nice big herd of Ellies coming through in the late afternoons. Now, we've got a waterbuck, true to its name, it's at the water, one of several different kinds of antelopes found in South Africa and other areas obviously in southern Africa. This is a male. You see he's got massive horns, and the females, they do not have horns of the waterbuck species. Alright. Now as you might, I'm not sure if you can see it, but what's quite amazing about the waterbuck is the fact that once this guy lifts his head, just keep a lookout. Underneath his head, you'll see he's like a beard, much longer than mine. And this guy, that is basically hollow hair cubicles, or cutels, should I rather say. So the hair that's coming from the neck downwards towards the chest is hollow. So when the waterbuck, especially in the hot summer times, feels the temperature is increasing so much, they will, and in other areas of Africa where, like for example in the delta, they have to swim a lot, they would go into the water to cool down. And all the information that I found on it is that these hollow hair cuticles, they suck up the water like a syringe, and once the waterbuck leaves the water areas, that water stays inside the neck for quite some time. The reason why I found that interesting is because it's a cooling mechanism. It cools the neck down, and we have the main arteries in any mammals, or I don't know about other animals, but the arteries, the main or the best way how to keep it cool is around the neck area. We sometimes do it as well. We put wet cloths around our necks to keep it cool, because your arteries will cool down faster around that way. So I found that pretty interesting about these guys. He is thirsty, eh?
Yeah.
Drinking a lot. Beautiful set of horns on him. Patricia, good morning. Do I know what kind of algae that is on the water? I'm not exactly 100% sure. You do get in some areas blue-green algae, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is a blue-green algae that's on top of the specific area. Various birds do feed on the algae, but mammals, antelopes and stuff like that, I'm not too sure, hey? Maybe one of the other guides might know it, one of the viewers that might know it could give me a heads up there perhaps. But most of the geese, a lot of geese for example, they tend to enjoy the old algae taste, the chewiness.
can see that hair on the nose.
There we go. Oh, thanks, Dave. He's pointing out. Oh, just as he's pointing out, you'll see the neck hair when he turns eventually. Now, do you see that white circle around the bum of the waterbuck? That is actually what you call a following mechanism. All right, waterbuck you do normally find these the species in small herds, not very large like wildebeest or stuff like that, but you find them in quite reasonable numbers, sometimes up to 12, 13 or 15. And when something and predator is coming close by and the herd needs to move quickly, you will see that they'll run behind the first one that's gone, and that circle is a following mechanism. Or it could be just a bullseye to predators saying, you come close, you're going to get kicked. Hi Meg, thanks for your very awesome question. There it is. Do the waterbuck have webbed feet like some of the deer in the US? I presume, well, sorry, it's not webbed. What is actually happening is the hooves is adapted to take or to expand much larger than other specific antelopes that you'd find in this area. So therefore, when they are going through the thick mud, the hoof base basically expands to cover the whole area so that they don't actually get stuck at times. I hope that sort of answers your question, but there's no web as far as I know between the toes, no.
Male Impala.
And for those of you who are not too familiar with this new character of the show, he is Impala. An Impala is one of the species you would find around every corner just about in the specific areas. They are, what do you call it, a bulk species, where they breed fast, they adapt fast, and they are there to, obviously take the pressure of other specific antelopes that are not as high in numbers when predators are going for them. Try and have a look at this, Dave. We've got this little crocodile over here, and it's moving quite nicely now. Hi Doris, why are there so many impala? Very good question, and I briefly mentioned earlier that they are what you call a buffer species or a bulk species. I think the better word would be a buffer species, just to take the pressure of other antelopes that are not found in such large groups. Most of predators are feeding off the impala, so therefore they've got to constantly keep their numbers up. Right, they adapt, as I mentioned earlier, very quickly to surrounding areas, and at the moment the numbers are a lot higher, and that's due to the fact that most of the female impalas recently gave birth. Okay, the gestation period for females is about 6 months, so the males will start their rutting season. They'll start rutting season, I think, about June, July. Where the males' rutting season is when they start running around advertising their specific territories, and then they try and get as many females to come through their territories, and once that happens they can impregnate them. Then 6 months later we have baby boom all around us. Many babies, and the reason why they've got so many babies all at the same time is again to increase your success rate of the species by itself. The success rate is the more you have, then if you lose half, you still have 50% more than what you had of specific herds. Okay, so I'm hoping that sort of answers your question. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this area, and we're going to try and follow up on that baboon alarm calls just to see what they were going after. But they've actually stopped now. Hey Dave. Oh, we haven't heard them really. So maybe we just wait a little bit longer here and then we'll see if something happens around this side. Maybe something comes to visit us. Oh, there we go. That's a great spot. Cheers, bud. That is a nyala, a female nyala. You see, we're seeing so many different species just at one water source. Water is life, eh? So that is a nyala. You see to the left of the screen. She's got a bump towards us at the moment. Oh, there's another one coming through, yeah, a younger one. They've got stripes on them, and they've got those white blotches. So it could be a mom. Yes, look at that to the left. Sorry, we're gonna quickly go cut here. Yo, that's amazing, that's amazing. Look at that. Oh, do you guys see that hippo fight? You just saw the end of it, I reckon. Oh, look at that. Yo. Alright, so to me at first glance it looked like possibly two younger hippos, sort of. There we go, let's have a look. Oh, they're not actually, eh? We've been seeing some interesting behavior from the hippos at this pool. We had, I think Jamie had them the other day. It seemed like they were mating, eh, in the water. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of the females is in estrus already to mate with, and then she is releasing a lot of pheromones in the water, which is making all the hippos, not just the males, all of them a bit crazy, should one say. It looks like they want to mate, eh? Jenny from London, welcome. Can I explain a little bit about the hippo social structure? Well, yes I can, and thanks for that great question. So you have a dominant male most of the times inside a pond or a pool like this, should you say, and that dominant male will have first right to all the females, and then majority of the hippos around would be females with their calves, the youngsters, and then you might have the odd bulls or other male hippos that is not dominant enough yet, that's basically allowed to stay here. The big guy said, listen buddy, you can stay here, but once you start with your nonsense, you're out. So that normally does happen. And then you call this a pod of hippo, and a male can have many females in this specific area. And it's not strictly like, we call it polygamy. It's not where one male and one female, which is monogamy. This is when the strongest guy is in the specific area, he has control, and he is now allowed to mate with all the females, and they obviously want the best genetics in them. But again, I don't know if this guy is mating. Maybe someone that's got a bit more of hippo experience watching could maybe inform us. Look at that. What do you think, eh? It looks like it's too small, huh? It looks like it, eh? Now, you'll see the other hippos as well coming a bit closer to investigate. Having a look and see this is everybody okay and communicating. I hope you guys all heard that. That's how the hippos talk to one another. And yeah, and, for those of you who would like to know if hippos would do mate inside or outside the water, I hope this answers your question. Alright, we're going to be heading over towards Tristan, who's on foot I believe, and I hope he's got something amazing to show you. Yes, Tristan. Good morning everybody, and welcome
to the safari tent. I must be honest, I'm quite excited to be in here. I feel like a little bit of a kid in a laboratory at this stage. So many little things that James and the team have collected over the last few months, and I'm quite excited to have a little look around and scratch around and see what we were able to find. When we came in this morning, James managed to find a piece of bark that had a little egg casing on it. So we've shoved the egg case under the microscope, as you can see here, and you can see the amazing detail that this little egg casing has got. As you can see, there's a little piece of bark, and there on top is an egg casing. Now, we're not 100% sure of what is actually in this egg case, so I think maybe what we should do is over the next few weeks is just keep it with us and see how it goes, and maybe we'll even get something hatching out of it. There's a few cracks and tears in it at this stage, which maybe has affected whatever's inside there, and it's possible that it might not hatch, but my initial guess would be probably something along the spider family. They tend to build these very sort of cottony type webs over their egg cases, and so I'd imagine it's one of those, but it could also be a beetle or any of those kind of species. But isn't it incredible, the detail? You can actually see each little fiber that's been sewn onto that little bark and created this egg case. It's quite incredible to see. So we'll definitely monitor that for the next little bit and see how we go with that. And like I say, I'm actually very, very, very excited to be in the tent. Like I say, it's a bit of a daunting task. At first, I was a bit nervous up front here, but just looking around and seeing what we have is there's so many things that we can focus on and have a look at, and I'm really, really looking forward to kind of getting stuck in and seeing what there is around the tent here. We do have some nyalas that have been drifting around, so there's some animal life as well, but we'll be looking at mostly little plants and insects and trying to use the microscope to get in nice and close on all the things that we don't generally see when we're out on the drives and even the bushwalks to some degree. So while I was walking around, I've also managed to find a tree that has quite a few interesting little growths on it. So as you can see here, we have a silver cluster leaf, all right, and on the silver cluster leaf there were two different formations that have formed on the tree itself. Now the first is this little one here, which is a big ball that is grown on the end of the stem, and this is called a gall. Now this little gall has been made by a wasp. All right, the wasp will have come and stung this plant, and the plant will then swell as a response to that stinging, much like somebody when they get injured and they get hurt, they will then be able to kind of swell up, and that's its body's way of basically protecting it. And it's the same thing with this plant. So as it swells over, there's a growth hormone that gets sent there, and it basically protects that branch from being hurt any further, which is ideal for the wasp, because what the wasp is trying to do is it's trying to lay its larvae inside this little swollen area so that the larvae has enough food to sustain itself until it pupates and hatches as an adult wasp. Now, it's an incredibly clever strategy that they have, because if you have a look at this branch, it's very difficult to show you, but it is very, 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 very firm. It is hard, as you can imagine a tree would be, and so very few predators are going to be able to have the power to actually break through this and get to that little wasp. And so once the wasp is kind of pupated, you'll see that it has eaten its way out through the bottom of the little hole here, and it will then come out here, wait for the wings to dry, and off it goes, and therefore quite safe in its little home, which is pretty incredible. Now what we're going to do just now is we're going to try and break this open to show you a little bit of the inside and to show you how the wasp has actually hollowed it out. It's quite a difficult thing to break, so I don't know quite how we're going to do it just yet, but we'll make a plan somehow and get to that a little bit later. But now the other growth that was on this particular tree was this. All right, and now this is essentially the exact same thing as what we saw with the wasp, but this is called a gall midge. All right, so the midge is what has stung this, and all these little holes that you see are areas where the midge has laid larvae, and each one has its own tube that it is able to then utilize to lay larvae, which is quite incredible. All right, so while we kind of move around here and see what else we can find, we're going to try and look around for any other little interesting insects and little things that we can look at, and in the meantime we'll go across to Byron and see what little impalas are doing with him.
Ah, so Tristan, you're in the tent. Don't break anything. James shouts at you. I know. Just be careful. Now we've got a lovely group of antelope, and there's some impala, and then just to the left there's a Beautiful group of waterbuck. There they go. And there were two magnificent kudu bulls that were also in this area, and they've just moved off. They've gone over that little mound behind the waterbuck. But this is a nice group of waterbuck. It's always nice to see different antelope species in the same area together. Morning everyone, how are you? Good. So while we see different antelope species together like this, some people might wonder why, but there's no reason for them not to be together. They feed on the same vegetation. They'll also help each other, basically keep a lookout for predators. So it's actually perfect, really. There's no reason for them not to be together. I do really enjoy seeing different species all in the same area, especially if you get them out in a clearing. See, those waterbuck are basically following the trail that the kudu took. That's exactly where the kudu went over. Some blacksmith lapwings flying above us. You might be able to hear them. I'm just calling. Gary, hello to you, and you say you've been watching Safari Live since New Year's Eve and you haven't stopped watching. Well, great, Gary, it's great to have you as a viewer. Thank you very much. And you want to know, is there Safari Live Anonymous, because you seem to be addicted to it? I think there is. There are a few people a few viewers that I think you can chat to that are addicted to Safari Live, and but you know what? It's great. It's wonderful that you are addicted to Safari Live, and I'm glad that we're able to bring you parts of Africa and the animals and the wildlife, and give you an experience, or give you an idea of the safari experience and what to expect, more or less.